Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all my dear students. This is your lecture number 30 of week 10 from chapter Nervous Coordination. This topic will be followed from page number 79 to 84. So the contents are review of previous lesson, objectives, basic organization of human nervous system, cranial and spinal nerves in men, somatic and autonomic nervous system, recap, and next topic. First of all, I will give you the review of the previous lesson, that is synapse, structure of synapse, mechanisms of synaptic transmissions, and classification of neurotransmitters. After completing this lesson, you will be able to identify the main components of the nervous system, basic organization of human nervous system, describe cranial and spinal nerves in men, and explain the structure, types, and functions of autonomic nervous system. Basic organization of human nervous system. So the human nervous system consists of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is a coordinating center and it will lie in the midline of the body, while peripheral nervous system transmit information from receptor to CNS and transmit the orders and command from CNS to the effectors. So the central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. What is the function of the brain? Brain are going to receive all the sensory information and initiate the responses, and also store the memories and generate thoughts and emotions. And what is the function of spinal cord? Spinal cord basically conducts signals from the brain and control the reflex activities. And peripheral nervous system consists of two different type of neurons. The one is called sensory neuron and the other one is called motor neurons. When we are talking about the sensory neuron basically transmit the information from sensory organs to CNS, central nervous system, while motor neurons transmit the information CNS to muscles and glands, or you may call it effectors. So motor neuron divided into two main types of the system, that is the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system control all the voluntary movement, while autonomic nervous system control all the involuntary responses. And what do we mean by voluntary? Voluntary means they are under the control of our willpower, and involuntary means those type of responses which are not under the control of our willpower. And autonomic nervous system is again divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous systems control fight and flight responses, while parasympathetic nervous system control rest and digest responses. Now central nervous system. As we discussed in the previous slide, that central nervous system is the main component of the human nervous system, that is basically consists of brain and spinal cord. So the brain and spinal cord are covered with the three protective membrane that are called Mannings, and both are enclosed in a protected covering, like brain is enclosed in a cranium while spinal cord is enclosed within the vertebral column. So the main function of the central nervous system is to integrate and coordinate the incoming and outgoing neural signals, and to carry out the higher mental functions such as thinking, learning, memorizing, and generating thoughts and emotions. So students, the main component of central nervous system is the brain, and as we discussed in the previous slide, that brain is present in the cranial cavity and it is surrounded by three layers which is called Mannings. So there are three meningeal layers. The outermost is called dura mater, which is next to the cranium. The middle one is called arachnoid mater, and the innermost is called PA mater, which is next to the nervous tissues. And between the arachnoid and PA mater, there is a fluid called CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, which helps to cushion the brain from shock. The brain. The brain is basically divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. And as you can see in the flow chart, the forebrain is again divided into thalamus, hypothalamus, limbic system, and cerebrum. And limbic system consists of hippocampus, amygdala, and septum, while cerebrum divided into two cerebral hemisphere. Then midbrain and then hindbrain. Hindbrain basically consists of again three parts: medulla oblongata, pons, and cerebellum. So students, we will discuss each parts in detail. Forebrain. So students, as we discussed in the previous slide, that the main component of the forebrain is cerebrum, thalamus, and limbic system. First we will discuss cerebrum. So students, remember one thing, that is, it is the largest part of the human brain. So cerebrum is divided into two hemisphere, that is called cerebral hemisphere, as we discussed in the previous slide, that is right hemisphere or left hemisphere, and the both hemisphere are interconnected with each other, and that interconnection is called corpus callosum. What is corpus callosum? Corpus callosum is basically a band of axon, and the function of corpus callosum is to interconnect the both cerebral hemisphere. And students, as you can see in the diagram, each hemisphere consists of four surface lobes, that is frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. So students, each lobe further contains different functional areas, and each functional area consists of three sub areas. Number one is sensory area, that are going to receive impulses from different body parts. Number two, association area, that are going to analyze the incoming information. And number three, the motor area, that are going to control the response of the brain. And cerebellum also function in the analysis and interpretation of memory, reasoning, judgment, thoughts, and emotions. The next part of the forebrain is thalamus, and students, as you can see in the diagram, below the cerebrum, the part is present that are called thalamus. The main function of the thalamus is to receive all the sensory impulse except the sense of smell. After receiving all the impulses, they are going to transmit them to the limbic system and to appropriate regions of the cortex for interpretation. Now the limbic system. Limbic system is basically a complex set of structures that lie on both sides of thalamus, just under the cerebrum. So the limbic system consists of hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus, and some parts of thalamus. So what is the function of hypothalamus? So the hypothalamus is important in the regulation of homeostasis. It also regulates the pituitary gland. And as we know, the pituitary gland is the master gland in chemical coordination. It is also involved in the regulation of body temperature, blood pressure, hunger, thirst, aggression, and pain. And what is the function of amygdala? Amygdala is basically a two almond shaped structure that produces the sensation of pleasure and punishment. And what is the function of hippocampus? The hippocampus is basically involved in long-term memory. And students, in the limbic system, the three cavities is also present. So the question is, where are these cavities? First and second cavity is present between the limbic system and cerebrum, or you can say first and second ventricle is present between the limbic and cerebrum. Yes, cavities is also known as ventricles. And another cavity that are called third ventricle, which is present between limbic system and thalamus. So limbic system consists of three ventricles. First and second is present between limbic system and cerebrum, while third is present between limbic and thalamus. Now the midbrain, particularly in human, midbrain is relatively very small in size, and the function of the midbrain is to receive and integrate the sensory information like vision, odor, as well as sensory information from the spinal cord and relay them to forebrain. Or you can say midbrain contains reticular formation, which is a relay center connecting hindbrain and forebrain. Now the hindbrain. So basically the hindbrain consists of medulla oblongata, cerebellum and pons, and as you can see in the diagram, medulla oblongata. So the question is, what is the function of medulla oblongata? Medulla oblongata are going to control all the automatic functions of the body, such as breathing, heartbeat, blood pressure, coughing, vomiting and digestion, while cerebellum are going to control the equilibrium, that's mean the body position, and they are going to control all the complex activities like walking, running, riding, bicycling, etc. And what is the function of pons? Pons regulates activities, physical activities like muscular coordination, facial expression, and they are going to regulate some other activities like breathing and sleeping. And students, here remember one thing, there is a fourth ventricle that are present between cerebellum and hindbrain. So that's mean there are four ventricles in the brain. Now the second main component of the central nervous system is spinal cord. Spinal cord is a thick whitish nerve cord that lie below the medulla and extend down through the neural canal of vertebrae up to the hips. So between vertebrae, nerves present that are called dorsal root. As you can see in the diagram, the dorsal root carry axons of sensory neurons, and in the diagram you can see the ventral root as well. The ventral root carry axons of motor neuron that are arises from the spinal cord. So both of these merge to form peripheral spinal nerves. Students, as you can see in the diagram, it is a cross section of the spinal cord which is differentiated into two areas. An outer white called white matter and inner gray region called gray matter. So the outer region, that is a white matter, which is mainly consists of neurons, while the inner consists of nerve fibers of gray matter. Students, as you can see in the diagram, the white matter shows deep grooves from both sides, and these groups are called posterior median sulcus and anterior median sulcus. So several pairs of spinal nerves originate from ventral horn of gray matter. Similarly, the several pairs of spinal nerves join the spinal cord through dorsal horn of gray matter. And the dorsal root of spinal nerves also contain ganglia present just beside the spinal cord. So spinal cord serve as an expressway for signals between autonomic nervous system and brain. It is also the control center for many reflexes. Now cranial and spinal nerves in man. So the peripheral nervous system include cranial nerves which arises from the brain and the spinal nerves which arises from the spinal cord. So there are 12 pair of cranial nerves as you can see in the diagram, and the 31 pairs of spinal nerves that are originate from the spinal cord. So in the cranial nerves, some are sensory nerves, some are motor nerves, and other are mixed nerves. And the cranial nerves largely concerned with the head, neck and facial regions of the body. When we are talking about the 31 pairs of spinal nerves, they are all mixed nerves. And the spinal nerves provide two-way communication between the spinal cord and the part of arm, leg, neck and trunk. So each spinal nerve emerges from the spinal cord by short branches or root that are called dorsal root or ventral root. So each spinal nerve serves the particular region of the body in which it is located. Now the peripheral nervous system can also be subdivided into somatic and autonomic nervous system. So the nerves that are related to the skeletal muscles that are going to control all the voluntary activities constitute the somatic nervous system, while the other that deals with the smooth muscles, or you can say involuntary activities, heart and glands, constitute the autonomic nervous system. So that's mean they deal with the internal organs of the body. And then as you can see in the flow chart, the autonomic nervous system is further divided into parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic nervous system is formed by some of the cranial nerves. It promotes all the internal responses we associated with a relaxed state. For instance, contraction of pupil of eye, digestion of food, slow heartbeat. Or you can say it is a condition of rest and digest. While in the sympathetic nervous system, it prepares the body for highly energetic activities such as fight or flight responses. That's mean it increases the heartbeat, increases the breathing rate, slow digestion, dilates the pupil, etc., or by directing the release of epinephrine or adrenaline. That's why this condition is called fight or flight condition. So students, today we have discussed the basic organization of nervous system, that is CNS and PNS, and we have discussed the CNS is divided into brain and spinal cord and brainstem. Brainstem basically connect brain to the spinal cord. And in the peripheral nervous system, we had covered the spinal and cranial nerves in man. And the peripheral nervous system is subdivided into autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. And in the autonomic nervous system, we have covered the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So in our next lecture, we will discuss the sensory receptors and their working and effects of drugs on nervous coordination. This is all for today. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.